Hello, families. Welcome back to our Eduversity series, where we help expand your perspective with books about diversity and cultural differences. My name is Mrs. Shupak, and today I will be reading the book A Sweet Smell of Roses by Angela Johnson. This book has helped open up my heart and mind by showing me how children, just like you, can be a part of the change that is necessary in our country. My hope is that you will find your own personal message in this book. I hope you enjoy A Sweet Smell of Roses. I'm going to share my screen. Present. Okay. A Sweet Smell of Roses by Angela Johnson, illustrated by Eric Velasquez. I want to make sure I read for you. I think I had this at the end, so I'll read it to you at the end. After a night of soft rain, there is a sweet smell of roses as my sister Minnie and I slip past Mama's door and out of the house down Charlotte Street. Past the early morning milkman, over the cobbled bridge, and through the curb market. Make sure you can see this part. To where everybody waits to march. Minnie and I are only waist high to most of them. Waist high, Minnie and me, waist high, holding hands and waiting to march. There's a sweet smell of roses as everyone waits for Dr. King to speak, and the colors, bright light from the sun on the flowers beside the road, as we listen to Dr. King on the megaphone say, "We are right. We march for equality and freedom." Then we start to march, Minnie and me. We look ahead and walk faster like him, clapping in time with our feet, looking ahead just like him. There is a sweet smell of roses, even as we march past the people who scream, shout, and say, "You are not right. Equality can't be yours." Then we look farther down the road and keep holding hands, feeling a part of it all, walking our way toward freedom. There is a sweet smell of roses as more people start marching with us, pouring out of the streets, clapping and singing, "Freedom, freedom." Then someone picks me up and puts me on his shoulders. Somebody picks Minnie up too, and we are high above everybody, still marching. There is a sweet smell of roses as we all gather in the center of town, all together, all here, listening to Dr. King as the sun gets higher in the sky. He talks about peace, love, nonviolence, and change for everybody. And the sun gets higher in the sky. When it's time to go, we skip back hand in hand, Minnie and me, singing freedom songs along the streets. Through the curb market, over the cobbled bridge, and past the mailman. To our house on Charlotte Street. Then there is Mama, worried face, waiting there for us. She smiles after a while, hugging us, then takes our hands. And as we tell her about the march, the curtains float apart. And there is a sweet smell of roses all through our house. Thank you so much for listening to that book with me. It's one of my very favorite books. I've loved it for many years. When I used to have my own classroom, I always used to read this book with my students. There's so many amazing examples of, I love the writing. I always use this book with writing. And to think about what the roses symbolize. And also in the pictures, there's very little color. There's black and white, and then there's just a little bit of red. So I wanted your opinion about what you think the why Eric Velasquez chose to do that. I have a few other questions for you um, before we go. The first question, like I said, is what do you think a sweet smell of roses symbolizes? So take a minute to think. Angela Johnson keeps repeating that a sweet smell of roses um, throughout the book, a sweet smell of roses. What does that symbolize? Um, then I also wanted to ask you, do you have to wait until you are a grown up to march and use your voice to create change? Think about that and think about if you've participated in a march in your life or if you've seen other kids participate in a march. We've had lots of marches in your lifetime, and we will need to have lots more because there is still a lot of injustice in our world. So think about if you have a brother or sister, it can be like Minnie and the narrator and participate in a march. And my last question for you is what are some ways that you can, as Angela Johnson said, feel a part of it all and walk our way toward freedom while you are still a child? So please take a minute to think or talk with someone at home about how you, right now, not when you're a grown up, but right now, how you can feel a part of it all and walk our way toward freedom. Then I just want to read you at the beginning part I showed you, there was a part that Angela Johnson wrote about the book, and I want to make sure I share these words with you. When we learn about the civil rights movement that blew across the American landscape in the 1950s and 1960s, certain names always arise. Thurgood Marshall, Rosa Parks, Ralph Abernathy, Fannie Lou Hamer, Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, Robert Kennedy, and of course, Dr. Martin Luther King. These are all important names. Each belongs to a man or woman who sacrificed much, sometimes everything, in the quest for freedom and justice. But the men and women we commonly hear about are not the only ones who took action against injustice and oppression. For each of the names we know, there are tens of thousands that we do not. And some of those overlooked names belong to children. A sweet smell of roses is a tribute to them, the brave boys and girls who, like their adult counterparts, could not resist the scent of freedom carried aloft by the winds of change. I love that. And I hope you enjoyed the book. And I cannot wait to see the amazing things you continue to do to to be part of that scent of freedom carried aloft by the winds of change. Thank you so much and happy Martin Luther King Day. I hope you join Ms. Mason and I and other families and teachers. We will be at the Fair Hill Cemetery and then we'll be at the Woodmere Art Museum reading lots of books and singing lots of songs and being a part of service to honor Dr. King's legacy. Thank you all so much and happy reading also.